Welcome to the show In the Clutch. We're going to talk about, in this final segment, we're going to break down some upcoming Ravens drafts and who we would hope, it's kind of a wish list, quite frankly, of who we think could fill some of the needs that we have. And Draft Wire, let's talk about some of our greatest needs. I know we talked in the last show about a lot of pressure. And where do you think we're going to be able to get that from?
Oh, man. It's... Who exactly would be the guys? Just to try to think off the top of my head, James Lynch from Baylor. It's one guy, you know. Curtis Weaver from Boise State, edge guy. It's just some more interior guys. You look at Neville Gallimore. You look at even a guy like who's that kid I'm trying to think of, the defensive tackle.
From Iowa?
I'm sorry. Yeah, he's like a defensive tackle / edge guy, like a 5 technique in AJ Epinesa. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of his name. I'm sorry, but yeah, I mean, there's a plethora of players that we can really look at, and it's whether are we looking for interior guys or are we looking for an outside pass rush. And you got like Terrell Lewis from Alabama, who's a outside type of guy. You got, you know, other players that are coming into formation like a Bradley and Nye and different guys like that. But the biggest thing is we gotta be able to try to find the right guy that's going to fit our system that can bring the pressure that we really need. Because whether we keep Matt Judon or not, we're gonna come into next year with somebody from free agency, whether that's Matt Judon or someone else, that's going to be an outside pass rusher, and we need to use the draft to get a second guy that's going to be on the outside or a guy that's going to be able to push the middle, because we're also losing a player like Michael Pierce as well, and he wasn't really a pressure guy, but It's just an extra body that we're not going to have.
Yeah, and as we get into the upcoming draft and we want to focus on some, like I said, I mean, basically this is just a wish list. I mean, we're just going to just hammer out some names that we hope would be on the board. And with us being having the 28th pick in the draft, we know linebacker is a great need for us in the upcoming draft. And there's some players in there that we want to focus on. The draft, what do you think? Who may be there for us?
So I look at guys like Kenneth Murray, big time guy. We talked about him in our linebacker prospect video. Please watch that video if you're watching this. It's going to be in little related videos. Also, we talked about Patrick Queen. Yes, Patrick Queen, the LSU linebacker, very athletic. I said that maybe he doesn't fit the exact mold that we would need at the position, which, you know, they're mocking him to us, but I don't know if he's that physical type of linebacker, because I think we still need a athletic guy, but we need the physicality as well. So I look at Akeem Davis Gaither that can be in the second round, and I think that he can be a really good linebacker for the Ravens to pick if it comes down to it.
How about Zach Braun? You're hearing that name as well. A lot of guys are kind of projecting him to possibly be there for us as well, coming out of Wisconsin. What do you think about him?
Man, I'll have to say, you know, Zach Bond he's an edge guy. He's an inside guy. He was one of those guys that at the Senior Bowl, he decided that he wanted to play or practice at linebacker, wanted to play the game at linebacker instead of playing the game at edge. So what that says that he has that versatility to kind of be both. He reminds me a little bit of like a Joe Scobert that plays for the Browns, who also went to Wisconsin. So you see some relatability there. And he's still an explosive type of pass rusher. But I think that his probably best position is to definitely be a versatile type of linebacker that you can play inside or out. And maybe he's a better version of what we thought we would have gotten in Kamali Correa, who's not that bad of a player now that we see him late on his career.
I really thought the Ravens should have held on to him. He actually had his best camp. And, I was really surprised we traded him for a 5th round. I really like Correa. I really did. I just think that, as you saw, what happened when he got with a more aggressive system, someone like a Mike Vrabel, who's really played that position, was really able to take his talents and harness his talents. Yeah. And he showed out. Don't forget, he kind of made us look bad.
Yeah, he did.
In the playoff game. Also, let's talk about some needs. We need, like you said, it doesn't matter where that pressure comes from, whether it's at the front or at the linebacker position, but let's talk about the defensive line and the interior. What's out there and who you think that we hope would be on the board for us, maybe in the late 2nd, 3rd round. What do you project there?
So yes, with the defensive line prospects, you're talking about the interior guys. I look at a guy from Utah, the defensive tackle, Leki Fotu. It's hard to say his name. So I think he's a Hawaiian guy. He is a pretty good type of penetrator type of guy. I think he's more of a one-gap player that is probably better in a 4-3, but I believe that he could make the switch to a 3-4. And with his one-gap penetration that he does do, though, I did see him play a lot more in the nose tackle position than he was playing in the 3 technique, which is more of a defense tackle in a 4-3. But Utah kind of plays a little bit of a hybrid type of situation where they play like more 4-down linemen, but because sometimes their guys will stand up, it's kind of a hybrid to turn into a 3-4 as well. Another guy is Marlon Davidson from Auburn. I think that he brings a crazy versatility because he was a defensive tackle / he also played defensive end at Auburn. He's a 300-pound guy that gives any team a versatility of using him on the inside or outside. He reminds me a little bit, to me, he reminded me of Courtney Upshaw, which you may say, oh, that's kind of bad, but I think that just as the style of play is Courtney Upshaw, but I think he's a little bit more looser and athletic of a player than Courtney Upshaw, so he should give you a little bit more. Plus, Courtney was a linebacker for our system that probably could have been a defensive lineman, but it just didn't work out when they did try to convert him. I think Marlon Davidson is a defensive lineman and will stay a defensive lineman, especially in the Ravens 3-4 scheme as a 5 technique.
And although we're pretty well stacked at the running back position, we always need that breakaway back. And there's some guys, in watching the running backs at the combine, and the guy that kind of stuck out to me and right in our backyard is Anthony McFarland. I like him. I like his breakaway speed. He showed a lot of that at Maryland. I mean, he's also a good returner as well. And even LeVon Leaks showed out pretty well as well. And there's someone who could probably be there in the later rounds for us. And if we're trying to add additional speed to the lineup, especially with Lamar and what he brings to the table, I see a guy like McFarland really fitting in, and he may be someone that's right there for us when the draft time comes around. What do you think about that, Draftrawthentic?
I think you're totally correct. I think that you're looking at a player that is in both McFarland and Leak that are late round running back prospects. I think that they both bring tremendous speed. Now it's weird because Leak ran a 4.65, but I don't think.
But he doesn't. But on the field, he runs away from everyone. No one catches him from behind. I was really surprised with that 40 time as well.
Yeah,
I really thought he'd be a lot faster. But McFarland ran a 4.4, which you expected him to run that. But Leak, I was really surprised.
Yeah, that 4.6, I didn't think it was indicative to what type of speed Leak does have, because on the football field, he looks faster than McFarland to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know what I mean?
He does.
So it's a little weird. I think that maybe he's more of a 4.5 guy, if that's his, and if that's it, and maybe it's more of a quickness thing for him. He's just so quick that he seems faster than McFarland. Maybe that's the situation when it comes to him, but he's a versatile weapon.
Very
he's a guy that can, I wouldn't say is a receiver, but I think that he is a solid receiving type of player.
Yeah, I think McFarland has better hands.
Yeah,
McFarland has better hands.
Yeah, I think
he's, Leak is a very good returner. He's an excellent returner.
Yeah.
And that's something we really lacked. Our special teams, we're really getting much out of it, although, I could see him coming in the late rounds. He's going to probably be there in the late rounds because I'd say maybe 4th, 5th round for him because, like you said, that I think that 4-6 is really going to probably bring his draft status down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I when I look at him, and him as a player, and just for the Ravens in general, I think that they've been needing that returner for a long time.
Yes.
And if they want to dig into that well, because both McFarland and Javon Leak, I believe, can return. They can be returners. We need to get that type of player. I think that's the one key that when you look at both our Super Bowl years, Jermaine Lewis, and also Jacoby Jones. Like, it makes sense. Why wouldn't we have an all-out star returner for our team, especially Harbaugh being a special teams type of guy? Yeah. That's a big part of what he does as a person, as a coach. Like, that's huge, and we need to find that guy that's going to regularly be that big-time playmaker that we can get for special teams.
Just think about if we had that kind of weapon during the playoff game that we had here.
Yes.
We started a lot of the times. We were inside the 10 to 20. We had poor field position that whole game, and we were able to move the ball. I mean, we had almost 600 yards of offense in that game and only put up 12 points. So that was indicative of basically of the starting point and the lack of the return game. So that could certainly be a big boost for us in the upcoming year. All right, we thank you for joining us for this segment again. The name of the show is In the Clutch. We're going to be here all throughout the year discussing the Ravens. We're also going to be just breaking down that draft. When the draft comes out, we're going to be doing a team-by-team breakdown, talking about who we think actually performed in the draft. And we're going to also be following up on some prospects as well in the next upcoming show. So join us again.